What a vaccine could mean for the U.S. housing market and real estate. An effective vaccine could mean a spike in interest rates and return to some pricey metro markets, economists and agents told Inman. This is a Patrick Kearns Inman article. We'll link it up, of course. And of course, you've been paying attention. Pfizer announced last week that they had a vaccine that was over 90% effective. And then Moderna, just this week, same thing. As recently as Monday, announced that theirs was over 95% effective. So that's really good news for the health crisis.
Great news.
Now, I guess there's a study more than...
Will you be getting that vaccine?
We'll talk about that when it comes out. I want to see the results, but are you? All right. Anyways, moving on to housing, how this would affect housing. An impact on home affordability, the news of an effective vaccine, which in turn means a potential light at the end of the COVID-19 tunnel, which I think is we all agree would be fantastic.
Yep.
It's good news for the economy overall. So you would think great news for the economy. It's got to mean great things for housing. More people with jobs, more people being able to move about, earn income. That should translate into more people buying homes, right?
Of course.
That's like the common sense way of thinking, I would imagine.
Yes.
An effective vaccine, according to the Redfin chief economist, would mean more employees would return to work and consumers could spend money. And so that's what we're talking about here. But there is a caveat to this. However, a strong economy also likely would mean interest rates may start to rise. Here's something that's not in this article. I'd encourage you to go Tom Ferry, Ivy Zellman podcast. Ivy Zellman is one of the smartest people in real estate. She mentioned something that would be contradictory to what we've been talking about. Fannie and Freddie have said. Fannie and Freddie have said the interest rates, the mortgage interest rates are going to stay the same in 2021 as they are right now. They're under 3. They're ridiculously low, historic lows. She said, not so fast. Watch that 10-year treasury, the 10-year bond. That is usually in correlation with what happens with the mortgage rates, more so than what Fannie and Freddie say, or more so than what any of these other articles believe. She says, you got to watch the 10-year. She actually said, if an agent walks into my home and doesn't know how to talk about the 10-year and things like that, I would slaughter them and they would never get my listing ever. If you're not educated in this kind of stuff, she says, you're definitely not going to be an agent that I would hire, meaning her, Ivy Zellman. So if you look at the 10-year, and let's put that up here, we can put the CNBC, chart 10-year, and we can go back the last 6 months. The 10-year is it is ticking up. It crashed down. Maybe we go back, let's do the 10-year for the whole year. So if we could do that 10-year for the whole year, that little chart, that crashed down. Interest rates crashed down, obviously, with COVID, and now it has been on a slow tick up. It did go down today with the market crashing down today. This is...
Well, but it's interesting because it just went up just a few days ago.
Yeah. The interest rates did tick up with this news.
Right.
And so ticking up, we're still at
so low.
The historic lows. So it's not like we're going up crazy, but if you're locking in right now at 2.75 or 2.85, or I saw somebody recently just get locked in at 2.65.
Well, or if you, I have someone that's in the Navy, so they did see now I sound stupid.
Oh boy.
Well,
you didn't say anything, so you don't sound that stupid because you didn't say anything. So
forget it. It's gonna come to me later. Right. It's because I'm on the spot here.
So 265, I've seen. I'm sure people have seen crazy numbers. But if you go, let's just call it 275. If you go to 325 next year, it's still a historic low, 325.
Right.
But we're still talking 0.5% up. That's a lot of money when you just compare your loan at 275 to 325. I think people that are locking in these low interest rates right now, the end of 2020, that are buying this winter, are going to look really smart come this time next year. Right. I have a feeling we've been talking about these interest rates are going to stay great for us. I have a feeling with the good news in the health crisis and other, real estate's been really good. We're going to see these go up. It'll impact it's going to impact the market in a couple different ways. One, it'll impact people's home values. It always does. Usually rule of thumb is 1% increase, up in a mortgage rate would be a 10% pullback in home values. It's kind of like rule of thumb, just generally speaking. So we could see that, but we'll also probably see sellers less willing to sell. Here's why. They're going to say, whoa. Just 3 months ago, I was getting this number. Why would my house be worth less? I'm not accepting less. And they may refuse to budge, and that could create like a little bit of a stalemate in the market.
Well, it's interesting though, because this has almost been like, and by the way, it was a VA loan. But anyway.
Okay. Did you know the rate or?
Yeah, that they locked in at 2.
At 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not long ago. So anyway, it's interesting because I feel like this whole thing has been like a squeezed in like 2008. Remember, like we're still finding people now, like their prices are still not where like they could have been in 2005, 2006, 2007. Have you run into sellers that are still like
certain price ranges?
15 years ago, I could have like what? Like we're still talking about this?
Still in Connecticut, people are still thinking about those years.
All the money that they lost. Yeah. And it's funny because
I'm sure in your market as well.
Yeah, yes. I think though that the people that were sort of on the verge of selling though, this pushed them over to sell. I don't think that anybody that, needs extra time to sell or people that, I think that the people that sold these years and maximized their profits were the people that were going to sell. It just probably fast forwarded it. I don't know.
You still think they're going to be low? I think they're going to be low, but over 3 would be different than where we're at right now.
I think that rates are still, yes. I still think that rates are going to be lower. I don't think that sellers need to worry about, again, I can only talk about Connecticut.
There's a lot of demand. And this is what the Realtor.com chief economist.
I still think that, here in Connecticut, people are just so happy that their homes are selling.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they're selling for over list price, that's a bonus. But I think that in this state particularly, people are just happy that they're moving.
Right, but we are expecting more people to get comfortable with the idea of selling their home next year. People that have been thinking that'll increase inventory.
Yep.
And if people are stuck on their price and then interest rates go up, people can afford less. I could see a scenario where there is a little bit of a stalemate. Maybe for a 3-month period, maybe, until we kind of work that out. Well, and
those are the people that really then obviously don't need to sell.
Right.
Yeah.
You get that a lot here in this market, Connecticut Shoreline.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure other markets.
Absolutely. So I'm saying the people that have maximized this opportunity are the ones that have wanted to sell, needed to sell, were willing to sort of move. I mean, I have tons of sellers that knew that this was the right time to sell. We pushed the envelope way high, but they still got way more than they ever would have expected.
Yeah.
Here's
the Realtor.com chief economist, Danielle Hale. She echoed that same sentiment that we're talking about the potential where the interest rates could go up here. News of an approved vaccine is likely to lead to higher mortgage rates. So now we have multiple economists kind of lining up saying the same thing, which could dampen buyer demand. I think the buyer demand's strong, but I just think they're going to be able to afford less. So I don't know if it'll dampen it, but it'll definitely dampen how much they can afford. Somewhat as affordability becomes more of a challenge, Hale told Inman, but she doesn't expect a huge pullback in buyer demand, which has been quite strong. I agree the demand is there.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting. Rich Barton. I
think it's still kind of hard though to even know. I guess I feel like the rate will stay. I think this winter will be very interesting because again, this vaccine, it sounds like
a while away. Yeah,
a while
from actually being widespread in terms of like, probably end of 2021, we'll see
you
more
and
more
I would be able to get
it
if we wanted it.
Right. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Right.
So Rich Barton though, here's something that's interesting. He said this on his Q3 earnings call with Zillow. Rich Barton, obviously CEO of Zillow. He believes this time frame, which is going to last quite a while, it's here to stay in his words, is the great reshuffling. Mm-hmm. Okay. On his company's third quarter earnings call, he was very clear that he simply stated, people want to move. That's debatable. I think once you move once, you're like, I don't ever want to do that again.
Right.
But he believes people for the foreseeable future want to continue to move, which is going to create he's kind of pushing against, and he's biased, obviously. He wants the market. He wants to be bullish on the market. Mm-hmm. He's pushing against this theory that interest rates would impact the real estate market at all. He feels like there's such a strong demand for people who want to move. This is a huge reshuffling. It's going to continue. I mean, if you really listen to Rich, he believes what Zillow's doing is going to create more transactions than ever before. The ease of the transaction is going to create the ability for people to move more and more. I mean, if the transaction gets easier, who's solving the problem that moving
Right.
is actually very difficult.
Right.
Fixing all your bills,
Right.
your addresses. There's a lot of different things that go into moving.
Packing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was interesting from Rich, worth noting. There's a lot of good stuff in here. They go on and on to kind of get into like, what is this going to mean for open houses? What is this going to mean for in-person showings?
Yeah.
I haven't here locally, and maybe in the comments you guys can share with us if you've seen, any real health concerns in your market between, with showings or even open houses. We've taken all the safety precautions. Everybody's masked up. Everybody's, washing and social distancing. So in our market, I don't know if you have you heard of any instance locally where a real estate agent or a house that's been shown has caused a potential positive case?
No, not me. No. And I'm still doing, we're still doing open houses every weekend too.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
no.
we are here.
And Parade of Homes, like we did a Parade of Homes here in town, and that was wildly successful.
True, we did Parade of Homes. A lot of people came through. It was.
I think it was over 300
safe,
people sort
yeah.
of went through all these homes over the course of the weekend. I think there's so many things to talk about here.
There's a lot to this topic.
There is, because I think that we have to get through the winter, because I think that there still may potentially be a lot more restaurants and stores that close down through the winter, depending on what your state is requiring in terms of shutdowns. I do think, though, that there's going to be a lot of companies that aren't going to require their employees to have to come back to an office. So, yeah, people are obviously...
I think generally speaking, the vaccine could help commercial. You're talking about restaurants and offices. It could help commercial
absolutely
way more than it could impact residential.
For sure. I'm just excited about the
direction.
vaccine so my kids can go back to school.
Right.
But again, they're talking about more people going back to work. And I think that is true, but I don't necessarily think that they're going to be going back to work in an office space though either. So that's really what's allowed all this movement to happen. All of these transactions is that people can now
work from home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I don't see that changing. I see, even if commercial real estate is affordable, I still believe that these corporations are why let's,
and maybe that's where Rich is going with the reshuffling, is that people are going to continue to move out of the cities and into other areas, and location has become less important.
Or what though, I don't have to, I've always wanted to live in Utah,
yeah.
and I can still do my job here in Connecticut. This is now my chance to move to Utah. So it's not even necessarily a matter of like being in a city or out of a city, but it's really now about maximizing your experience on this earth, because have the ability to do that.
Yeah, people are doing that. People are taking action on going to that state they've decided to go to.
I know tons of parents that are renting houses in Vermont for the winter because they know that they're not why sit home if they could remotely teach their kids. Now you can teaching your kids remotely is an option. Hello. So you've wanted to live in Florida half of the year. This may actually finally be your opportunity to do that, because your kids will not now miss school.
Well, because they'll never go to school, right?
Can't
miss school.
Though.
There is no school.
It's all very different now.
All right. So not a racket. Vaccines are not a racket.
No.
They're hopefully going to help a lot of people, and we'll see what happens with interest rates because of that.